Why is one of the most powerful financial tools on Earth still under $3? Because XRP isn't meant to moon until they're done building on it. The elites don't fear price, they fear access, and they'll suppress it until they own it all. Let's understand it deeply. My name is Artificial Alina, and you are watching AlinaX. Have you ever stopped to wonder who really benefits from keeping XRP's price suppressed? Because here's the truth. Most people overlook XRP is not just a cryptocurrency, it's an infrastructure layer. And infrastructure doesn't skyrocket overnight like hype coins. It doesn't make headlines with explosive pumps. It waits quietly, patiently, while the system builds on top of it. And when that foundation is ready, that's when the explosion happens. But not before. So, if you've ever asked yourself why XRP seems stuck while everything else around it is either booming or busting, the answer is right in front of you, because XRP is the only digital asset that poses a direct threat to the very institutions that control the flow of money globally. Ask yourself this: what kind of asset eliminates pre-funding, settles cross-border transactions instantly, has a built-in decentralized exchange, supports native tokenization, follows strict ESG standards, and is ISO 20022 compliant out of the box? That's not just another altcoin checklist. That's a blueprint for the future of finance. And that's exactly what XRP is. It doesn't need hype to justify its worth. It's built for utility, efficiency, and compliance. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. That utility, those very features, pose a major risk to today's financial power structure. XRP doesn't just compete, it threatens to replace the middlemen, the ones that profit from slowness, complexity, and fees. Banks, liquidity providers, SWIFT, foreign exchange desks, the entire correspondent banking network, even stablecoin issuers who rely on inefficient rails to stay relevant. Now ask yourself, if XRP threatens all of that, then who benefits from keeping it cheap? The answer is simple. The very same institutions who are quietly buying it. They don't want you to know what they know. They don't want you loading your cold wallet with XRP before the new financial rails are switched on. Why? Because they're still accumulating. They're still positioning themselves. And they want it all at a discount. They want cheap liquidity for their transactions. They want low on-demand liquidity costs to scale operations. They want to deny what's coming until they're fully in control. And most of all, they want to avoid public speculation until it's too late for retail to get in at the ground floor. That's the game. Keep the price low, and you keep public interest low. You keep retail out of the conversation. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the pipes are being laid. The system is being rewired. So again, why is XRP one of the few assets with real-world utility, global partnerships, and regulatory integrations? Yet its price remains constantly suppressed, because that suppression isn't an accident. It's not a bug. It's by design. You see, we live in a crypto world where memes get ETFs before utility does, where coins that serve no real settlement function get price pumps and mainstream attention, where assets with true infrastructure value are kept in silence. That silence isn't ignorance. It's intentional. They tell you it's uncertainty. They pretend XRP is risky. They hide behind legal delays and regulatory fog. But behind the scenes, central banks, global fintech firms, and early-stage CBDC pilots are already testing on XRP rails. That uncertainty they sell to the public, it's the perfect cover story. It lets them operate in peace while they quietly build the future. And what's the most powerful weapon for this kind of suppression? Legal fog. Think about the SEC lawsuit. It wasn't just a random government action. It served a perfect purpose. It discouraged retail. It stalled institutional announcements. It gave big players time to accumulate, time to plan, time to build while the rest of the market panicked. All the while, Ripple wasn't slowing down. It was signing deals with the United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Palau, the Digital Pound Foundation, and more than 40 financial institutions across the globe. While retail feared legal doom, the real players were getting into position. Because of that lawsuit, it gave institutions what they needed most: time. Time to accumulate XRP at prices that wouldn't be available once clarity arrived. And that retail panic? It became a massive discount opportunity. So who's gaining the most from this carefully orchestrated suppression? Start with central banks. Many are already building their central bank digital currencies either directly on the XRP ledger or using XRPL bridges. Then there are the private liquidity providers. They're using cheap XRP to enable scalable, low-cost, on-demand liquidity solutions. Global payment processors are jumping in too, attracted by XRP's ability to scale without the volatility of other digital assets. And don't forget legacy financial institutions. The old guard, they're the most threatened by XRP's decentralization and public accessibility. They don't want XRP to be a retail-dominated asset. They don't want everyday people holding control over a core piece of the new financial infrastructure. So let's be clear, XRP's value is not in question. It's not that it doesn't have value, it's that it has too much, and they want that value before you get a chance. But it's not just Ripple's enterprise partnerships that make this asset such a threat to the old system. It's the entire ecosystem growing around XRPL. Look at the emerging platforms. XR Predict, for example, an AI-powered protocol for predictive finance, offering decentralized strategies that could one day compete with traditional fund managers. Then there's Doppler Finance, which allows XRP holders to earn on-chain yields without relying on traditional financial intermediaries. These aren't just applications, they're early-stage replacements for hedge funds, for asset managers, for banking products. And what do they all have in common? They run on the XRP ledger. That's what really terrifies the traditional system, because when value starts to flow from peer to peer, without banks, without brokers, without permission, they lose control. That's why they suppress XRP. Not because it doesn't work, but because it works too well. The suppression is part of the setup. It's designed to wear you down, to break your conviction, to make you doubt the very thing that's being built right under your feet. They want you to give up. They want you to chase hype. They want you distracted by flashy pumps while they're quietly building the rails of the next financial era on XRP. So understand this: when you see the price staying low, that doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening. They suppress what they can't stop until they control it. And the moment they're done building, that's when the switch flips. So the real question now is this: will you still be holding XRP when that moment arrives? Because when the rails go live, when the legal fog clears, and when retail finally wakes up, it'll be too late to buy in at the levels we see today. This isn't financial advice. It's a wake-up call. Know what you hold. Understand why it's being held back. And never forget that suppression is just a delay, never a denial. Because if XRP truly becomes the backbone of global finance, you'll wish you had loaded your bags when the world was still asleep. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this breakdown as eye-opening as I did, smash that thumbs up right now. Don't miss out on our exclusive, never-before-seen insights. Subscribe immediately to join our inner circle at AlinaX and stay ahead with every breaking update. I want to hear your thoughts, questions, and theories, so drop a comment below. Every single one will be read and replied to. Act fast, be part of this revolution, and let's redefine the future together.